First of all, welcome to FluentPro webinars. Today we'll talk about the project and portfolio budgeting in Microsoft Project Online. This webinar will be recorded and recording will be sent out tomorrow. If you have any questions, feel free to ask your questions in the area in go to webinar application. So feel free and we'll answer all those questions at the very end of webinar. My name is Anton Kravtsov. I'm president and CEO of the FluentPro Software Corporation. Our company is a developer of products for Microsoft Project Server and Project Online platform. We help companies implement and enhance their PPM platform, Microsoft PPM platforms. We are Microsoft Gold Certified partner, and we have about 10 different products for the platform. From configuration management to migration tools, data visualization, financials, integration, pretty wide variety of the tools. But today our focus is why companies need project and portfolio budgeting and how this can be done using some of our software. So first of all, companies need to implement cost management practices. We need to have as executives and any business is need to understand where the money is spent, how much things will cost, and to have the proper practices around the cost management budgeting procedure. So it is crucial for business to have tools that help this with that. Having all that information for each project leads to much higher efficiency and transparency and maturity, because management can see all the information, access all the information. It can make decisions better. It doesn't need to reach out and find that information. It's immediately available. With cost management practices in place, the results are better planning, and better planning leads to better execution of our project. If you know the budgets and we are not walking in limbo, we have a real clear picture what our costs. When we plan for our project, when we execute, we use it as our baseline and guideline for executing our projects. And again, if change needed, it's the budget will have to be updated, communicated, and variances can be managed. So based on that analysis, companies can really, if there is a change, as I mentioned, that there is a change in the budget, there is a change in the project execution timeline, there are some unexpected costs, management can identify those change very quickly and can act on those change. Benefits for the business in general is that if we have that all those as at any maturity model and improvement model, I would say that we have in this case we have the planning process, we have project execution process, we have analysis process after the completing the project, and then based on that we make some improvements. Having the financials, having the budgeting practices for and cost management practices for a project, it helps. It's part of the entire picture. You will have better project control and absolutely will have accountability for project managers. As a result of multiple iteration, having all that information, you will have increased accuracy of planning and tracking for your project in general, for your portfolio management. In general, your maturity level will increase because you are controlling more aspects of projects than just schedule and resources. You're tracking costs, you're managing costs, you're managing expectations. And very important element for management is that with having the solution for financial management for your budgeting is that you can run analysis on the data, you can run reports, you can see dashboards, you can visually identify the hotspots, issues, and areas that needs more attention from management. Very quickly about our application, it's a web-based application. It tightly integrated with Microsoft Project Online. It's an app that you can, for free, get from the app source. It allows companies to create portfolio, project and portfolio budgets. You can track forecast cost, baseline, and actuals. Uh, we support different views. Annual. You can view data on the annual, quarterly, or monthly view. So you have that flexibility. We didn't go deeper because it's not needed for majority of the customers. Right now, we support just one single currency, so you cannot have multi-currencies solutions here. Just one single currency. We support locking of the past periods. What that means is that, for example, you can protect your plans from making the change in the past periods. For example, today it's August. I can lock everything before the August 1st, so no one can make change in my data. We support unlimited level of categories. You can have the hierarchy of your categories. It means that you can have cost categories and subcategories for that. We push several values back to project online, to project level fields. They will be available for example, to see on the PDP or in use in any other reporting. We have some section for configuration. We support GL codes, so you can, for each category, you can define GL code. We support OData feed. We provide the OData feed, and we support and we provide the Power BI pack for to use to report on the data. One of the big advantage for the companies is that you don't have to rely on Excel. Every week when we talk to customer and when we ask how they do the project financial thing, we use Excel. We have budgets in Excel. Having that in Excel, Excel is a great tool and it allows a lot of flexibility for building the structure, but it's a nightmare to get all that information in one place to analyze it. So with our solution, we believe that companies can automate the process of financial management, and they can remove the dependency on Excel for budgeting, simply just by using our solution. In general, if we're talking about the multi-portfolio scenarios, which are applicable for for some companies, is that you can have different scenarios for portfolio. So simply, it can be that you have portfolio and you have some project for portfolio with its own budget, and then for each project, that part of that portfolio, you have their own budgets. And here what you can do is you can compare the portfolio budgets, your initial approved budget, with the actuals and with budget from the underlying project. So that's an option number one. In this case, like, you can replicate, for example, this is your HR portfolio, this is your IT portfolio, and maybe somewhere there is another R&D portfolio. Another scenario that what you can do is, if you are working on the fiscal year fiscal year model, is that you can have your portfolio just for 2017 and have budget for just that year, and the same way your project can be organized within the same year, and you can compare the budget for that specific year. Both approach have cons and pros. It's really up to your company how to run your project, but we support that functionality where you can compare the budgets for portfolio project, which is just a regular project, it just have a budget attached to it, versus the summary multiple projects that you can have that part of the portfolio. How you can compare that information is that you really can, for portfolio, you can compare portfolio budget versus the forecast actuals. You can do that on the project level. You can do that on the category level, on totals. So multiple areas where you can do those those validations and those comparison on your data. So very quickly we'll go to demo, and I will show how the application works, and we'll go from there. So what I have here is my project online PWA. I have some projects here, and I have some statuses. I have some costs, that the cost and baseline cost and actual cost that come from the schedule. But at the same time here I have three columns, which is the project cost forecast, project cost baseline, and project cost actual. That's costs that coming from FluentPro Financials application. If I want to access that specific one, for example, if I click on one of the projects, marketing campaign for PPM module, if I go there and if I click on the project financials PDP, we have embedded control that will display our budget grid here. I can view that on the yearly basis. I can see that on the quarterly basis. So I can see that on the monthly basis. I have my categories. I have my grand total cost, and I have here my forecast, baseline, and actual cost. Very easily I can edit this grid. It's editable grid. It's embedded into the PDP. So anyone who has access to the project, they can go to this PDP, and they can view or edit that budget. The rights for editing and viewing, they're supported. We have an user management in FluentPro Financial, so you can control who can make change to this grid. So users can really make those. You can control who makes change to the data and who can view the data at all. How the application works? Again, like if it's app source application, so it's standard SharePoint app. You just add it. It will appear in your site contents as a FluentPro Financials application. If I click on it, it will get to the application itself, where you can. Majority of the functionality is replicated here as well. So I see a list of my projects from Project Online. Again, I can go to my project and again see my full budget here. I can edit, I can add additional categories, I can check it out, I can make the change to the data, I can create subcategories, I can change the order of my categories. You can control here, like you can in general you can control which counts you want to see. For example, say I don't want to see baseline and actual, I just want to see the forecast. Maybe you don't make in the baselines and actuals. You can see if there are differences in data, you can have data highlighted using the heat map, and I will show how it's configured. So your data can be automatically highlighted if you have some variances and deviation. You can, as I mentioned, you can see that on the different level, annual, quarterly, on monthly. And the standard functionality, it's check out, save or cancel, and check in for your project, so that anyone can, other people can make change to the budget. So if you're talking about the embedding is very simple. You just add the content editor web part. You just paste one string, one line of code, and it's working. For Power BI integration, we support the basic authentication. We provide you the URL, and on the basic authentication, we provide you the username and special token, system generated, some kind of like passwords that you can use to connect from the data. From the setting standpoints, what you can do in application is that you have quite a lot of control of what you can do. Currency symbol, you can define all the standard types, data types, and you can rename them. So we provide you ability, if your forecast is called plan or planned cost or some latest known cost, you can just simply go here and enter that information. Same for baseline, for actual cost, you can define it. For budget columns, you can again, like you can define the custom names for everything. If it's not GL code but budget code, or budget number, you simply just can go here and enter that information. You can define default cost categories that will be created every time when new budget is created. It affects only new projects, but the idea is that you can create your own hierarchy of the cost categories, so that you have a unification across all the projects. One of the features that we have on the roadmap is that we'll have that information supported on the EPT level. It means that for every, you will be able to define that for every EPT that will be released by end of the year. So we keep working. It's on our roadmap. So in this case, you can have one set of categories for your HR project, for IT project, for software development project, or R&D projects. Adds more flexibility here. For project details, you can define here mapping for out data. As I mentioned, we support mapping to project level custom fields. So you can create for totals, you can create fields and map them. So the data, every time you save a prior budget, the data, your project custom fields will be updated and data will be pushed there. For GL codes, you can create a set of GL codes, and you can enforce usage of GL code. So this means that I can enforce that users cannot type any random GL code. They will have to use this dictionary, this list that defined here. They can only select values from this list. For locking the data periods, as I mentioned, you can say you can define a cutoff date. For example, I can say there, it's August of 2018 for July, so it will lock all the data, including the July 31st, and in this case, you can lock your data so no one can change the past periods. For heat maps, we got feedback from users that they need more flexibility here on highlighting the data. So you can create your range and define the colors for your range, so the data will be highlighted in the heat map. Simply just define, okay, that's how I want to highlight the data on the heat maps. For role management, that's one of the latest features that we added to application. So you have three roles. Viewer is a user who can view budgets, both in PWA and in app. Project manager, it's a user who can view and edit project budgets, again, like in PWA and in the app. And an instance admin is a user who can change settings of the application. So here you can control and you can say, okay, that's it's a standard SharePoint group, as you can see here from PWA. So you can absolutely go here and add those groups and control permissions. It's all based on the groups, so it's not for individual people. Everything based on the group, but you have very great granular control over the application. So again, like if I go to my overview, I can see my data. For example, if I go to portfolio infrastructure, I can see my budget, my budget here. If I have maybe some difference, yeah, everything looks good. No discrepancies. So I can see all that information and edit and update very easily. So right now, let's say that we have our budget for all projects. So what's next? The next is really reporting. We provide, as part of the application, we provide you the Power BI pack with number of reports. That is, it's part of the solution. So first report is a portfolio cost summary, where you can see all the projects with all the that have some budgets defined, and you can see them here. And if there are any variances and everything, you can see all that information just here. At the bottom part, you can see split of your budget across projects, and you can see, which one takes most of the data. For everywhere you have the control. You can say, okay, just show me three projects, and that will automatically, or 4 projects. You can automatically see all that information, here. You can always switch to pie chart or to column chart here. So we provide you a lot of the ways to work with your data. If I want to drill down to project, I can select a project and see to the drill down. So in this case, I will go to my project, and I will see the budget grid here with all the some main metrics and summaries here. I can hide the variances, or I can show the forecast and or actual variances just using those buttons. And again, here I can control what is visible on the chart here. Portfolio cost details. It's a more detailed format for the previous chart, where you see all your projects and on annual basis in this case. So I can switch to the quarterly. Again, here I see all of my projects, but I see here like time-phased details for my project. Again, it's all standards where you can define, you can turn on or turn off variances, and same like if you want to see that on the chart, for example, I can see how my costs are, for example, how my costs are distributed here for, let's say, the baseline. I can see it here, or I can compare it with forecast. So immediately I see, okay, here's our forecast is higher than baseline. Maybe I need to investigate that information. Portfolio category summary report. It's a report that allows you to see information across your selected projects, but by the category. It means that, for example, why you can have it is, for example, let's say that your budget for your baseline, or like approved budget for hardware purchases for all of your project within this year is $122,000. Right now you see that the forecast is 129. Maybe you have, it means that this process, you need to investigate, you need to identify where we have that, in which project we have that overrun, and maybe make some correction actions. Again, I can go here from the category, I can go to the details and see that information across my project. So that's my category, that's my project, and I see maybe annually I can see the information, and I can identify here where is the overage happened, just looking at the data. Portfolio category details. It's a similar chart, just on the more on the time phased view. Time phased view. Category cost details. It's a view where you see the categories and projects. So here's a list of all the categories. So similar to what we had, what is in before. And again, like you can always see that across all the projects, or you can see based on the status of your project. You can say, okay, I would like to see here just 2 categories, or just 1 category, and see that all information here. Project cost summary, it's one level deeper. We go to single project level here. So for example, if I pick my just one project, I have that information on my project. I can see that information on monthly data, and I say, okay, that's my forecast, that's my baseline, that's I don't have actuals, that's my budget. It's I don't have budget defined for this field. Project cost details, similar chart, just with more details. So you have a grid and you have all your categories here. Again, time-phased budget view for your project. Portfolio cost analysis. It's a nice chart that allows you to. It's a nice report that allows you to compare the portfolio cost. In this case, we have a project for that with budget. We also the project in the portfolio. So in this case, for example, I have this project, just one project selected here, and here I can go to my. I can go here to my grid here and say, okay, that's my I know that in this portfolio I have 4 projects. In this case, I can say, okay, that's my forecast, $46,000. That's baseline for $3,000. Something wrong. Maybe I have a wrong project here or something. So, but again, like immediately you can see that there are differences between what's the projects that belong to the portfolio and the budget I have for my portfolio. And the portfolio cost time analysis time phased, exactly similar concept, just on in the time phased format where you can see more detailed information of again for your project and for project in that portfolio. And again, you can make comparison and see and identify all those differences. So that's an overview of the application. We take security very carefully, and we understand that it's critically important. So by default, our cloud applications, it's Azure based. It's all built on the Microsoft standard setting recommendation for an app. We have app available from the US, European Union, Canadian data centers. So if you have very specific requirements for location of your data, we can do that. All the personal information is protected, and all the data is segregated. So we store the data separately. For increased data security cases, just yesterday we had a call with a customer who they have recently application went to the security review, and they told that no, we need to host it at our Azure. And yes, we support such scenarios with dedicated instances where you can have it customer hosted. It means that if, for example, you store it on your data center or in your Azure, or we as FluentPro can have it as dedicated infrastructure just for you, managed by our company. But your data is, you have full control of your data. We are GDPR compliant. We are certified with Privacy Shield, and our data interface, we provide that. Right now it's basic configuration, but we are finishing work to support the OAuth 2 certification. For roadmap, as I mentioned, we have the category templates per enterprise project types. We're implementing the benefit management. We're working on it. It means that you can create not just the budgets, but also you can create the benefits. You can create similar grid, but for tracking the benefits. We'll have more control over the change log, history of change. We have a couple ideas for new reports on Power BI. We plan to add that to standard pack. We working on data import and export via Excel. So it means that, for example, if you need to make many changes, for example, your budget is very complex, you can export data to Excel, make change, and bring it back. But again, the point is that everything stores in the application and available for instant reporting. We plan to support some data snapshots, so you can create historical snapshots of your budgets, and we will support that in reporting platform. And we will add some more functionality around the change management for very complex scenario. We're still collecting requirements here, but at some point we'll add that. State of the market, you have functionality available in the Microsoft Project and Project Online, standard cost management. There are a couple players on the market other than FluentPro. There is one player. They have a great solution, but it's designed for very large enterprise and it is expensive. Our application using the functionality, so modern UI, lightweight application, and we're saying that yes, we are lightweight portfolio budgeting application. We are not the full-scale enterprise financial system, and there are a couple other small players, but the difference is that we have pretty much flat price for application, and we don't charge per user. In terms of pricing, we have free tier 25 projects and categories free. And then depending on how many projects you have, you you have the price, and we believe that it's pretty affordable. If you're interested in dedicated solutions, as I mentioned, we have two options for that, but please reach out to us, and we can provide you a quote depending on your sizing and your requirements. As part of FluentPro, we have multiple other applications. It's part of our general PPM landscape. We have Power BI Packs for Project Online, for Planner. We have integration solution, data mart solution, migration and governance administration, including the backup and disaster recovery. We provide more than just one solution for companies who implement Project Online. Thank you. That concludes our webinar, and thank you for attending it. Have a great day.